Why, hello, darling, and welcome to my presentation on Anna Wintour as a real life leader. She is the editor in chief of Vogue magazine, and today we're going to look at why we should look at her as a leader, what some of her leadership qualities and values are, her background, and we're going to answer the tail old question: is she an effective leader? Yes or no? I think yes, and I hope you do too by the end of this. So, the first question is why Anna Wintour? I'd like to start with this quote from Project Runway's main host, Heidi Klum. If you watch the show, you've heard this 100 times, and so I definitely have. But the quote is: in fashion, one day you're in and the next day you're out. And I think it's very true of the industry. We've all seen fads come and go over the years. And so to be at the editor in chief of Vogue magazine, a fashion magazine that which has been on the forefront of fashion for so many decades, and to be leading that charge for almost 4 decades now is a feat of in and of itself, especially in modern day where we have the media and cancel culture so prevalent. I think that is a huge accomplishment. And so I want to look at how one does that. So, in order to do that, we have to understand a little bit about who Anna Wintour is. So, she was born in London in 1945 and was the daughter of a newspaper editor from London. She dropped out of primary school in 1966 and thus grew up in 60s London, where art and fashion and culture were booming. One of the questions that we've talked about throughout this term is whether or not a leader has to be an expert in their field. And I think Anna demonstrates that you can work and you don't necessarily have to come in being an expert, and you can learn that as you go in order to be an effective leader. From this, she went on to become a fashion assistant and later a fashion editor for Harper's and Queen magazine, and then went on to work for several other publications, including New York Magazine. As a fashion editor, she said that she was not a good fashion editor, but she really, really valued the experience and the immense work and detail that went into it, and had a greater understanding of its value. And so that you need to be able to reflect a culture and what was society and what was going on in the world. That's the job of an editor. And so being able to do that is so, so, so important. And so having that experience of what it's like, despite it not necessarily being her strong suit, was super, super important. She later went on to become the editor for British Vogue, and then in 1986. And then in 1988, she went on to succeed Grace Mirabella as the editor in chief at American Vogue, and thus began her current reign. In 2013, she also became the artistic director at Condé Nast, which is the parent company to American Vogue. And then in 2020, she became Condé Nast global chief content officer. When she talks about her transition from her beginnings as an editor in Harper and Queen's magazine and her other London publications, she goes to say that her training in London helped her enormously because there was nobody at New York Magazine that had any particular interest or certainly had any skill sets that were to do with fashion. This is a demonstration of expert power. She had that power in the fashion journalism industry, and nobody else had that. And so she really filled that void and kind of ran the gamut on it. So I think that's just some important background information as we continue on. Now, as we go through this, I want to kind of highlight four main value points that Anna embodies that I think go on to help support her as a great leader. So, first off, we have be open and value diversity. Then, collaboration is a key to success. Third, we have act clearly, decisively, and quickly. And fourth, we have listen to and understand criticism. So, we're going to dive into those more. So, first off, being open and valuing diversity. First off, with being open, Anna really prides herself and finds a strength and a power in knowing what's going on in the world and not just accepting the status quo and or becoming stale. So she really takes time to learn what's going on. She stay When she stated in her masterclass what her daily schedule was, she always starts the day reading both the American and the British news every morning so that she can know what's going on. She takes the time to travel and read and experience the world, not just through a screen and through social media, but to really understand what's going on as a way to grow her breadth of knowledge and her just depth of perception of the world. Additionally, she when she creates a team, she wants to ensure that there's a base level of respect, but really strongly values different viewpoints and opinions. That's where growth and development and beauty lives. In an interview, she stated that she values a mix of new and veteran talent and goes on to talk about how when finding someone new happens, it allows them to bring in a new offering and someone who might bring a new way of doing things or a new idea or viewpoint into the mix. This is also in conjunction with her conversation around mentorship and how when those veteran people either transition to a new role or transition to retirement, it's something that is celebrated and not dread necessarily. Although we do miss those people. Additionally, when it comes to assigning the tasks and projects, she wants to align that with the passion of her staff. And so having a diverse staff with different passions and different callings is so, so, so important and leads to those beautiful, beautiful creations, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Of course, also she highlights that they are investing in us, but we are also investing a lot in them. This is talking about her editors and stylists, etc. And it's not just talking about um, those it's not just a one-way street. It's a street where she is giving to them and they are giving to her, and she takes those opportunities to learn from her staff. Now, collaboration is the key to success. I think I've kind of highlighted this a little bit, but one of the key things I want to highlight is that Anna does not see any strength in micromanaging. She wants to allow her staff and her organization to feel empowered to make their own decisions and to learn from those decisions, whether they be good or whether they be failures. There is a lot to learn in a failure. And so she wants to afford her employees that opportunity to make those failures into successes. She said, it's very important that I lead my team with my own point of view, but it's also very important to listen to others' perspectives and what their observations and experiences were. In this course, we've talked about leaders versus managers. And a leader is somebody who imbues the vision and the direction, and then a manager is somebody who makes that happen. And I think this is a very clear indication of a leader. One of the ways that she does this is through run throughs. We've seen them in the Devil Wears Prada the movie, but a run through is an opportunity for everybody to go through all of the details of what's going on in the upcoming shoot and the current projects and assignments. And while Anna will okay all of the pieces, the models, and everything at the shoot itself, it's up to the stylist and the editor to create that. And so she provides the vision and the direction and then allows them still to have that creative space to really, really bring out something beautiful. Additionally, she finds that growing together is beneficial and leads to overall organizational development and progression in a positive way. Vogue has been around through so many fads, decades, historical events, political events, etc. And so growing through that really adds to the depth of the organization. She also said that it's so important to establish relationships and collaborate, but there's also has to be a deeper meaning to understand what it is you're standing for. It can't just be, hey, we're all hanging out. There has to be the goal and the mission and the vision for that. And I kind of highlighted this earlier, but when it comes to mentorship, she really puts an emphasis that a mentor should push you out of your comfort zone. They should help you grow, not pull you back, not hold you in, and not say, hey, you have to be here, you have to be with me, and this is your lane. She wants to help you grow outside of that. Now, the next thing is act clearly, decisively, and quickly. Growing up, she, like I mentioned earlier, had an editor for a father. And so she said that in her household, there was never any time to make mistakes or second guess. And that was something that was imbued into her as a young child. And it's something that served her well in her career. She said that she's found when there is a lag, when the vision is unclear or there's discourse around it, people lose their sense that anything can be possible and they lose that momentum. And so it's very important to act quickly and decisively. She said that you need to stay true to your own vision and act always with clarity and conviction. And that to me is what a leader does. And I agree, kind of per that leader versus manager conversation, that is the main goal of a leader. And that is a key differentiation. Also, when talking a little bit about criticism, and I'll dive more into this on our next slide, she highlights that when you worry too much about criticisms and how you might be received, that it can dilute your own judgment and effectiveness and overall disrupt your leadership, and it can impact your ability to act clearly, decisively, and quickly. Now, next up, we have listen to and understand criticism. She really wants to make it clear that when it comes to criticism, you must remain true to your own vision, but that doesn't mean you can't learn from the criticism. So it's important to listen to those around you, which I think is something that a great leader does, both positively and negatively. And she takes that and grows from it. And in talking with her relationship with her mentors, she said, I would go seek them and I would ask their advice. But at times, I may make a decision that they didn't agree with. But there was that level of respect that I talked about at the first value slide, which led to being okay with that decision. Additionally, she said that you can't let that kind of criticism worry you. You have to do what you feel is right, and you have to explain it to those that are involved the best that you can. And so she's put that clear emphasis on communication and conversation around staff. Obviously, in a workplace environment and a leadership subordinate relationship, there may be times where a leader needs to make a decision that the subordinate is not okay with. And so, in allowing that time, it is something that can, in allowing that time to explain, it's something that helps to make subordinates feel a part of the conversation. Also, she made it clear that you have to accept that you can't be everything to everyone. You're not going to be the one stop shop solution no matter how hard you try. And so you need to just stick to your vision and your mission. Lastly, she said that one leads and carries out that work with that passion and that conviction, it will read the audience no matter what their reaction is. And I think that is something that a leader does. They need to feel strong in that vision and those values. One example of criticism was the movie The Devil Wears Prada. This was based on a book which was based on a former Vogue assistant's personal experiences. Many believe that Miranda Priestley is based off of Anna Wintour. And so that book was obviously a criticism to who she was as a leader. And while it did maybe, it was sometimes not as great press, but at other times it did highlight her strength and that vision that was imbued by Miranda Priestley. And so that is something that you can listen to and learn from, but not necessarily take all of that criticism to heart. Now, I did want to give some actual career and leadership impacts that she has had over the world. So she's raised over $200 million for the Metropolitan Museum of Art through the annual Met Gala. She has also launched several spin offs of Vogue, including Teen Vogue in 1983, as well as the adaptation of Vogue to a digital version, several articles. There's a YouTube channel, including a segment, Ask Anna, which is just a fun segment. And so that has allowed Vogue to stay relevant and be impactful in the world. Another thing that I found really cool and very impactful was the Council of Fashion Designers of America, CFDA, launched in partnership with Vogue the Vogue CFDA Fashion Fund, which is a fund to help aspiring designers grow from all different styles, creeds, etc. And so it really, really says, hey, we are a part of the fashion community and we aren't just up here. We want to give back and we want to help the development of others, which I think speaks to her as a transformational leader. It's not just y'all are here to serve me, it's a level of giving back and a level of respect to all parties involved. So the question remains, is Anna Wintour an effective leader? I think yes, and here are my 5 reasons why. First off, a good leader is self confident and strong and has a really, really set view and vision. It's not set in stone necessarily, but it's a good direction. And I think I've highlighted the fact of how she has set that direction for her staff in a positive, positive way. Now, the next one is articulates that vision to employees and then delegates. Um, Cotter in 1990, as cited in our reading Yuki and Gardner 2020, state that leaders establish direction and managers have a narrow purpose to try and maintain order, stabilize work, and organize resources. She has brought that vision through and has given that opportunity for staff to manage and provided them that lane. Another way that she's had that is Vogue has been on the cutting edge of a lot of things. Back in 1989, Vogue was seen as a traditional classy women's magazine, and Madonna was really shaking things up. And so they put her on the cover. In 2016, Vogue endorsed its first presidential candidate with Hillary Clinton and put her on the cover. And so there has always been this progression and this not fear of the status quo and this vision of that that's relevant to the world and is not out of touch. And that vision has been imbued by Anna into the Vogue staff. The Vogue staff is also over 120 people. And so that is a feat in and of itself. Um, Additionally, I've kind of highlighted this, but she cares about the development of others. That is a transformational leader quality. She has not only said, I want you to come work. I see your value. I see your investment in us. And I also see our investment in you. And we want to give back to you. We want that overall growth as a group. And we want you to go forth, whether it be with us and a new position at Vogue or Condé Nast, or in a different organization. We want you to blossom. Finally, excuse me, not finally, we also have channels the strength of a diverse team. A good leader knows how to utilize all of the resources of their team and collaborate with them and help foster that growth and that personal passion in a project. Everybody knows that if a subordinate is not interested in the project, they're not going to want to do it. And so by having a diverse team and really seeking that out from the beginning, then you can channel that diversity and that passion and that personal strength and conviction into the work, which helps foster a really, really great product as a team. And then lastly, it's very clear that Anna exercises referent, legitimate, and expert power. And so with her referent power, she encourages collaboration and always give credit back to the team while fostering their growth and development. In an interview, Anna was asked, hey, what is your greatest success? And she said, honestly, that's a dumb question because all of the work that I do is so collaborative and there are so many people beyond just me that are a part of it. And so I can't have a success, it's our success. And that is a success in and of itself. And so that is an example of how she kind of earns that referent power because it's not just hi, my subordinates are serving me and I'm taking all the glory in giving back and giving them that credit and helping foster that development and mentorship. She has earned quite a following and quite a lot of respect from her staff members. Additionally, with the legitimate power, she is the global chief content officer of Condé Nast and the editor in chief of Vogue magazine. Those are powers and positions and title that has been given to her by the company as a whole. And so she definitely demonstrates that legitimate power and that expert power. She's demonstrated that from a young age and has never let that stop. She came into New York Magazine with the key focus on fashion, etc., and nobody else had that. And she has not ceased to continue to grow her knowledge and grow her expertise and learn how to take the world around her. And so that is a fabulous demonstration of that expert power. And putting all of these together, I think, go to make a really, really wonderful, great leader. So thank you for joining me. Here are some references of where I've learned these things. If you have any questions, I would love to talk about her more, but I think Anna Wintour is a great leader, and I definitely learned some wonderful qualities that I would like to imbue moving forward. So thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day.